Oh, we are live on the station across the nation. It's me, your host, Chris Schreier. Not to be confused with, what was that DJ's name in the 90s? Chris, blanking on his name. It's the station across the nation with me, Chris something or other. Anyway, that's not me. I'm Chris Schreier, and I am the host of this, your favorite beer podcast. And if you're looking at beer and bullshit over there, I gotta warn you, these are fighting words. Anyway, hey, what's up? It's me, it's Chris. It's Monday night. We're gonna drink some beer, but first we gotta listen to my buddy Rob Currie. This is still this track gets me now. Ooh, I love it. Here it comes. Yes, indeed, that of course was our theme, which is the curse of the Currie brothers, off of the record of the same name by the band, the Currie brothers. It's actually simplified things somewhat, only having to remember that little bit. It's great. You can get that record online on the Bandcamp link. It's in the description if you are listening to the podcast. If you're watching on Instagram, you're going to have to figure it out yourself. If you're watching on YouTube, also in the description. Hey, it is hot. It is sticky. It's warm. Today, it's really starting to feel like what we would call the dog days of summer. And I've got a beauty, I hope. Got to be honest with you, never had this before. This is the first time. I picked this up on a Great Lakes order there the other week. This is Jasmine Saison Farmhouse Ale. If there is something literally designed to satiate your thirst in the heat of the summer, like a Belgian farmhand, it's a Saison. And this is a Saison. So, like, we're laughing. Sorry. 1 second. Having a little ahem there, but I think I've gotten it there. Had some really nice homemade fish sticks with sweet Thai chili sauce, and I think that's kind of... Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's get in here. Like I said, know nothing about this. It's called Jasmine Saison. I'm going to go ahead and assume it has jasmine in it. Jasmine, of course, a flower valued for its perfumey aromas. Incidentally, widely used in the perfume industry. And I think it's jasmine that it flowers at night. So to harvest it, you have to harvest it in the middle of the night. I think. I could be wrong about that. Let's get the pour for the kids at home. Oh my golly. This is a very pale, clear Saison. Okay, the dregs gave us a little bit of haze from yeast, but barely any. Holy moly. That was unexpected. Not much head. Maybe I should have poured it more aggressively. Maybe. Anyway, Jasmine Saison from Great Lakes. I mean, Saison as a style has a very wide array of acceptable colors, and this is within the acceptable range. That's fine. It's just not what I was expecting. Okay, on the nose. Ooh, hello, nurse. This is a farmhouse ale. This is funky. Yeah, a little bready. Yeah. Oh, man, I haven't had a Brett beer in a little while. Hot minute. I'm excited about this. There's definitely something floral and maybe even touching a little bit on like melony. The funk, by the way, from the Brett is like just barnyardy. It's not like horse sweaty. It's not aggressive. It's just definitely there. Yeah, a little grassy maybe. A little grassy either from the hops or the malts or maybe both. Maybe. Don't know what the hops are in this. Definitely something a little floral. Oh, there's actually... I think it's just a trick of the floral thing and the funk, but there's a little something that's almost kind of... It's kicking off almost a little tequila-y note. That's odd. I don't think there's any tequila in here. I hope not. Got to be honest with you guys, I'm not a big tequila drinker these days. I'm an old man. So the beach yesterday with my friend, he offered me a shot of tequila, and I was like, No thanks. Frequently, he peer pressures me into it, and I go for it, and I don't regret it, but I'm always like, oh, I didn't need that. Nobody needed that. All right, yeah. I mean, florally, grassy, definitely funky. That's and again, maybe a pop a little melon, little tequila, maybe. Let's see how she goes. Mm. What a delight. I want another sip, and then I'll tell you some surprising things about a beer that's surprising me in a few ways. Hang on. Huh. It's very light and light-bodied, but in a nice way. It's effervescent. There's a huge carbonation. Definitely got some Brett in there. It's definitely a bit funky, but not like crazy. Like I said, same on the aroma. It's there. It's a little barnyardy, but it's just nicely managed. The thing that's surprising is I don't want to say this and have it sound critical, but it's kind of thin in the taste category. Maybe delicate would be a better use of an adjective there. So yeah, it tastes like jasmine without a doubt. It tastes like jasmine, but it tastes like jasmine rice. By the way, the tequila thing is kind of gone. I can still smell it, but I don't taste it. Definitely grassy. And I think that's both hops and malt in this case. I have a theory, but I'm gonna feel super stupid saying it, and then really stupid if I'm wrong, which I kind of think I am, but okay. Really delicate flavor. A lot of jasmine, some funk, a little grassy. Again, maybe a little bit of melon, maybe like honeydewy. But delicate, tending towards kind of thin flavor, which is nice. It's almost a little bit like a beer seltzer. It's not aggressively hitting you with a variety of tastes. Body is super dry and pretty light. And it tastes like jasmine rice. I think I say that, though, because jasmine's a very perfumey flower. Now, I don't know how much they would have used. The flip is this really snappy, dry body. Did they maybe use jasmine rice as like an adjunct? So you can use rice in beer, but more often than not, when you do that, actually, people just use rice syrup. Just say the starchy syrup from rice. It's like way more fermentable than barley. It's not quite to the level of like, say, honey, which is like completely fermentable, or like glucose, which that's kind of honey. But it tends to make fairly dry, and also it doesn't have a lot of flavor to it, rice. But maybe when it's jasmine rice, does it taste like jasmine rice in the glass? There's definitely jasmine and sort of a rice note. I don't know, man. I know that the Brett's delicious. It's a really good farmhouse ale. I love how it's almost like it's like a light Saison. I wonder what the alcohol is on it. It's 4.5% alcohol. Okay, I'm gonna read the label and see. I'm just dreading it because I think I'm about to look like an absolute idiot. Jasmine's considered an adjunct rice. Oh my gosh, they've used jasmine rice. Is widely used in brewing along with barley. True. To create a crisp and clean beer. Absolutely. Additionally, rice is generally less expensive. It's almost always, unless you're using really expensive rice. It produces more sugars and is neutral in aroma and flavor. That's what I was saying. So is favored for mass production. Exactly. Budweiser has a lot of rice in it, but again, I think it's rice syrup. I don't think they're using whole grain rice, which makes it even cheaper. They say, however, compared to its starchy short grain cousins, oh my gosh, they use the jasmine rice in this modern Belgian style is used carefully to add delicate floral aromatics, yeah, like jasmine, and a slight sweetness. That's interesting. They say, so judge for yourself, but in this case, rather than calling it an adjunct, we prefer to call the jasmine rice an elegant addition to this refreshing. Says, this is amazing. I mean, actually, I feel really good because I was like 80% sure I was wrong about that. And it's delicious. A touch of sweetness. I guess there's a nice little herbal, grassy dryness to the hop on the finish. And there's some funk that lingers, which tends to dry out your mouth a little. Wouldn't have necessarily said sweetness, but maybe. It's really delicious. This is a really tasty beer. It's very, very perfumey. But again, when I say that, it's very perfumey relative to the other things in it. All of it's like dialed way down. It's just delicate. It's subtle. It's really refreshing. It's really good. And of course, now it begs the question, what would you eat with it? Now, again, very delicate flavors. Now, I immediately was going to say something, and then I realized people were going to come at me. So I want to be clear. I know that jasmine rice is a long grain white rice that's predominantly used in mainland Asia as well as in some of the islands. It is not particularly used in Japan. And especially sushi rice is a short-grained white rice. It's prepared differently. It's typically seasoned with sugar and rice wine vinegar. It's a completely different thing, okay? So don't come at me. I know that. But this beer would go really well with sushi, and specifically like nigiri. So sushi, by the way, is just rice. The fact that there's fish on it is almost incidental to the preparation of the rice. The rice is really the very important thing in sushi. But this, don't go crazy. I mean, if you get a tray, you're going to get a tray. You're going to get what you're going to get. But stick more to, like, even like if you're getting in, if most people I don't think really think this much about sushi, but like tuna for sure. That's like the sushi fish sushi. But when I say that, you're probably picturing that kind of, what would we call that, dark red touching towards fuchsia fish. Good sushi restaurants actually will have a variety of different types of tuna, all from the same fish, just different cuts. There's like mild and medium fatty and very fatty. There's like belly cuts. Like there's a bunch of different kinds. With tuna, I would stick to the simpler, milder, not super fatty. This beer is nice and it's effervescent and it's got a snappy finish. I don't know if it would necessarily keep up with like the weight of like an Otoro, but it can definitely deal with tuna. It's going to go great with salmon, which is like the North Americans' favorite sushi fish. Not really a fish used for sushi in Japan until fairly recently. Inspired apparently by Scandinavians. Who knew? This is going to go really, really good with tamago, though, with the sweet egg. With ebi, the shrimp, nice. Taco, if you feel okay eating octopus, really good there. Where you want to maybe watch, like unagi might be getting a little much. Anything eggs or like uni might be a little too much. I think the beer is going to be fine, but really you want to be focusing on the more delicate fishes that you can eat with it. You know, even like a surf clam would be fine. Maybe scallop, depending on the preparation. If it's been sort of grilled with any sauces, it might be getting a little much. Again, any sushi is going to be nice. A roll is going to be fine. You can have a green dragon roll with this. That's fine. But if you really want this beer to sing with the food, I would have, I mean, you could do a nice shirashi bowl with maybe, like I say, like a milder tuna, some salmon, maybe some Thai. That'd be really nice. Some snapper, some, oh, you could even go, squid would probably work in this context. Probably have a bit of squid. Definitely shrimp, ebi. Definitely get some tamago in there, the egg. It's going to go really well. That would be an amazing pairing with this beer. Again, it's very delicate. Flavors are wonderful and they're present, but they're delicate. You don't want to beat the hell out of them. That's the way you want to go, I think. That's what I'd have anyway. This is not a case for, like, because it's jasmine rice. You go, oh, what about some like Chinese food? No, most of that stuff's probably going to overpower this. Same with like if you go like Malaysian, where I think Malay uses sticky rice, which is also a short grain rice. So pardon me. Where else is jasmine rice used? Filipino cooking, maybe? I think it might be used in Filipino cooking. Anyway, my point is, stick to what I just said. Sushi, but the milder ones, predominantly nigiri, fish, rice. Don't get into fancy rolls. I mean, again, feel free, but if you really, really want this to go really nice, focus on good quality, milder fishes. Like, again, like, so not mackerel. Mackerel would be fine, and I like it, but it's just not going to make this beer better. Stick with the milder fish and this, but with the rice, that's what we're hitting on. It's going to be really nice. This beer is really fantastic. I am pleased both because I was right and not embarrassed, and also pleased because it's such a good execution of the style. I say the style. Using jasmine rice is not stylistically appropriate, only except if you allow that farmhouse ales were always made with the ingredients available to the farmhouse. So sometimes they would have rye. If that farm happened to grow rye, their farmhouse ale probably had rye in it. If they only grew wheat and barley, it's only going to have those in it. If they had oats, maybe there's oats. I don't even know. Some people put spelt in. I don't know if that was an authentic traditional thing or not, but whatever was on hand is what was used. You could make an argument that jasmine rice in a modern context is like a thing you have a bag of in the cupboard. And if that's the case, work away. It's really good. Really good. So perfumey. And again, delicate. A little bit of funk, but it's not aggressive. Finish is slightly tart from the funk. Dry and snappy. The carbonation is fantastic. The only thing I'm a little surprised about is the head. The head dropped really quickly. This glass was clean and rinsed, but maybe it had something in it. I don't know. That'd be my only complaint. I would have liked a little bit a thicker, denser head off of a Saison, but otherwise, this is just amazing. It's really tasty. Well, kids at home, I don't want to finish that because, I'm doing the thing on TikTok. You get the quick review. I want to save a bit for that. But before I do that, hey, have you been watching the Olympics? A lot of people have. What a lot looks like in the context of watching the Olympics? 66,000 people packing, I'm going to assume it's Stade de France, but maybe it was a different stadium, to watch not just the rugby sevens, but the women's rugby sevens. Friends, people watch women's sports. Networks need to get this out of their head that like women's sports are like the second-class citizen of sports. They're amazing. Canada today, about 5 hours ago now, in an underdog move, beat France, the host nation, in the rugby sevens. I believe now they have to play Australia, and that's going to be a heavy lift. They can do it. They can beat Australia. Are they going to? That's a tougher call. But I think even if they lose to Australia, they then play the U.S., and they probably would beat the U.S. It's fantastic. Oh, the rugby and the Olympics. The other thing that's in the Olympics that I love talking about is surfing. Yes, indeed. taking a pause from the Toronto Rugby podcast for a second, just briefly to be the Toronto Surfing podcast. Now, you might be wondering, and maybe you haven't been paying attention, do people surf in France? Yes, they do. Biarritz has some amazing surf. There's not really consistent and not really big, but available surf in Nice. The western and southern coasts of France have surf. That, however, is not where you will find the Olympians. France, I mean, on the one hand, it's probably the most epic break in the world. On the other hand, it's such a open acknowledgement of colonization. France, the host nation, is hosting the surf contest within their national bounds, which is to say it's in French Polynesia. It's in Tahiti at Teahupo, which is, again, maybe the most amazing wave in the world. It's actually firing right now, too. So they're actually getting some good sets, which is incredible. But I understand it's legally, technically part of France, but that's Tahiti. That's not France. Mild complaint. I am pleased that the world gets to see some of the best surfers in the world surfing one of the best surf spots in the world with admittedly world-class conditions. So that's fantastic. But maybe just let Tahiti have their island back, guys. Just saying. Back to rugby, a little closer to home. This past weekend, my club and specifically my team, the TRU2s, did it. We took down the Buccaneers and won the whole thing. So we got some hardware. Tomorrow night at training, we're having beer and champagne. It's going to be great. Very, very, very proud. Happy for all the guys and very happy to have been part of that team. And we did it. Now, we don't get playoffs because we're the Shags. There's still playoffs, and then after that, there's cup season. Will I get game time? Maybe. Especially once a bunch of those university boys go home. All of a sudden, the old dogs start looking a little more appealing. So we'll see, but I hope so. But even if I don't, it's been a very, very pleasing and successful year. So here's to my teammates, a big old up the beach for the TRU2s, the TRU2 division champions for like the something-teenth time in a row. We will not be playing in the TRU2s next year due to a league realignment. We will be focusing our efforts mainly on the ORU, which we will have to field 3 sides for. So I will likely become an ORU 3 player next year, and that'll be fine too. It's nice to know that we left on our terms holding, I think it's a plate, might be a cup. I've lost track. There's a lot of trophies in our trophy chest, and this is just one of them. But it's one that's been there a long time. It's got our name on it a lot, and I'm very proud that we got to put our name on it again this year. So that's the Toronto Rugby update. That's what's happening. What else is happening? Well, it's a long weekend coming up, kids. You know that means no episode on Monday. Also, my son's birthday, so double no episode on Monday. I'll be back in 2 weeks with a new podcast, with a new beer. Who knows? 2 weeks is a long way away, friends. It's a long, long way away. And then I'll be within sniffing distance of holiday, and that's going to be great too. What a night. We drank tonight Jasmine Saison, available from Great Lakes Brewery and Brew Pub. I ordered it via the Uber app. You can too. What else did we say? No, that's all we said. That's what we had. Check out my buddy Rob Currie and the Currie Brothers. This is The Curse of the Currie Brothers, off of the record of the same name. It's our theme for the season. It's a banger. Links in the description. If you haven't bought it yet, seriously, dude, do you just not like good things? Is that what it is? Is that what it is? Tell us about it, Rob.